Welcome to part 6 of the 1963 Ford F100 restoration. Today marks the day where we start the rebuild process of this truck and make it start to look like a truck again. We got a lot of work to do before that. So in this episode, we're going to be making this frame look almost brand new. We're going to go through, pressure wash it, degrease it, go over it with a wire wheel on the angle grinder, and then we're going to go through, wash it down again, then we're going to paint it satin black. And then we're going to start going through all the brake lines and stuff like that. So, enjoy the time lapse. Alright, so now that we have pretty much pressure washed and degreased the frame from like all the big chunks that we could get off, now we're just going to get the remnants of what's stuck on the frame with a wire wheel or a wire brush, whatever we need to, because there are some tight corners in here. Like in here, I'm not getting the angle grinder in there. Yeah, so let's get these brake lines off. Fuel line. Let's get changing some more appropriate clothes because I really don't want some wire wheels flinging into my skin. That's more like it. So now we're gonna throw on the mask, the face shield, we got our gloves, we got our long sleeve, we got our jeans on. We're just gonna go through, we're gonna wire wheel any of like the rough areas that have like a lot of hard stuck grease to them, which there actually isn't very many. Once we do that, we'll go over the whole thing pretty lightly. We'll get the brake and fuel lines removed, and then we'll spray this down with some more degreaser, power wash it again, let it dry, hit it with some paint. All right, so now I've gotten a lot of the like hard grease parts off of this thing. Pretty much all the grease has been removed except for on the inside of the frame rails on both sides. So I need to take out the fuel line, brake lines on both sides. And then I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with this one yet, because this is the brake line that runs to the rear brakes, which I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna end up painting it where it sits, because I'm not gonna move it really, I don't think, at least. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'm trying not to stress that enough. But definitely need to get this brake line out of here, because I don't know what I'm using in the end, except for I know for sure I'm using that one. Might still use this one, might not, who knows. But I still need to clean up all of the grease that is inside of this frame rail as well. And then we'll go over it like really quickly with the wire wheel, so that way we can spray down with some more simple green, degrease as much of it as we can. Because in the end, if I do end up buying this truck off my dad, I'm gonna kind of want it decent enough that I'd be willing to keep it that way and not want to tear the whole truck down again and do it all over again. Because if I had already bought the truck from him, I would have stripped this thing down completely and taken the frame to be sandblasted and powder coated at a local shop, because we don't have a sandblasting room yet. We might get one in the future. Hopefully we get one in the future. So yeah. I'm gonna go grab some tools. We're gonna take out the brake lines and just the stuff that we can disconnect from the frame that's in our way. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the parking brake bracket.
want to cover my hands in brake fluid, but I think I'm going to have to. Alright, so I'm going to get these other 3 lines off of here, and then we'll be back to take off the next part.
Alright, so what I ended up doing was I disconnected the brake line that goes to the rear, and I found out that I can actually just pull both of the front brake lines together while it's on the four-way. Because this one doesn't run through the frame or anything. It runs through the fuel line, which is no big deal. Which all I have to do to remove the brake line now is pull this back, clear the fuel line, and then now I can manipulate the whole thing. And get out the brake lines. So boom, just like that, brake lines are out. So now, fuel line. Which this one's gonna be a little interesting because it does run through the frame.
Which game is going to be interesting. There we go.
So there's the fuel line. Holding those in, there's just a bunch of these bolts. They're half-inch head nut, and they just have a lock washer on them. So it'll be easy to keep track of those. So next, I wanted to point out a couple of things. So right here, we need to take these off. I can't think of what they're called right at the, it's at the tip of my tongue. I just can't think of what these are called right now. And then we need to take off these basically big nuts that hold the brake cable to the frame. I think that is everything removable other than the strut towers, or the shock towers, not strut towers. I think that's everything other than the shock towers, because you can remove these. But because I don't have this thing up on the lift, I'm not going to do that now. When it comes time to do the suspension though, we'll just touch up where it is sitting with some black paint where it sits. Same thing on this side. When we take out the bolts, we'll just touch up the black paint and we'll get there. So let's zip these out. They are also half-inch bolts, or not half-inch bolts, but they're half-inch nuts, I think. Nope, never mind. 9/16. I take back everything that I said. I think I knew this and still called them the wrong size. So there's one. But this is why we gotta degrease this again, not just wash it off. Is because we're using these penetrating oils that we need off the frame in order for decent paint adhesion. So what I do know though, is that you hold the line here and then you need a socket big enough for the nut. All right, so now we've got a few different size sockets. Which one is it? 15/16? And it is. All we're gonna do is drop shit in the water. So all we're gonna do here is we have the 5/8 wrench on the back and we're just gonna unscrew this. That landed on my shoe. Still touched the water, but it landed in my shoe. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw the star washer and the nut back onto the line, and we're gonna tuck the line up out of the way. And then repeat the same thing for this one. 5/8 wrench on the back side to hold it in place. That brake light's done. Brake line is done. So that's everything taken off that we care about. Let's cue the wire brushing montage. So we got pretty much the cab and forward part of the frame all wire wheeled. It was really hard, like with it not being up on the lift, but I got done the best that I could. I'm not gonna really worry about the bottom side until I can get it up on the lift, because I don't want to miss areas when painting it, and plus the ground is all wet from pressure washing. But either way, we're gonna get this thing sprayed down with some more degreaser along the whole thing that we wire wheeled, and we're gonna pressure wash it again, and then we're gonna let it sit for a couple days, let all the water evaporate off of this, and then we'll come back and paint it. All right, so apparently I didn't hit the record button all the way because it just did not record anything that I just did. Which pretty much the frame's all dry, and we took some mineral spirits and we wiped it down just to give it like a final, like really good degreasing. Because yeah, simple green is good and all, but freaking like all those deep greases that are within pores of the metal, it's just too much. So next part of this, and the last part of this, is going to be painting this thing. I've got some satin black Rust-Oleum. I'm not going to worry about primering because this paint job does not need to be perfect. It just needs to look good and be semi-functional. So let's pop the top, start the time lapse, and get painting. one eternity later. As I said before, we don't really care about the suspension components right now. We'll get to those later when we can get this back up on the lift. But other than that, is we got the frame pretty much covered on all of the top side. I'm not gonna worry about doing the bottom side to, I'm not gonna worry about doing the bottom side to any of it until we get this thing up on the lift and we get the suspension off and I can actually walk underneath and actually see what I'm doing. Granted, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I'd at least like to make it look decent than second guessing everything that I'm painting. But other than that, we got pretty much from the front to where the bed sits. Pretty well coated in black paint. And if I did have to say so for myself, I think this looks pretty good. All right, so there it is. We are all done painting the frame, which I'll show you here in a second. It's got that nice satin black finish to it. So I'm not, like I said before, I'm not too worried about the suspension parts. We'll worry about that when we get this thing back up on the lift. I think it came out pretty good. Yeah, there's some areas that I couldn't get to just because it's a paintbrush, right? Like inside of these, I couldn't get all too well. Yeah, it's a little bit dark outside. This turned out so much better than I thought it was going to. I look forward to getting this thing out of the way. In the next episode, we're gonna start the rebuild process on whatever parts we wanna work on first. I know which one we're working on next, but I don't want to spoil it. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you all so much for the support. If you guys are enjoying this series, please leave a like, subscribe. It means a lot. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of 2026, which, yes, I know it's barely February when I'm recording this, but thank you all so much for the support. I'll catch you in the next video.